Welcome back to Fantasy Fights. This time we're going to look at the top 10 heavyweights of 2010 to 2019, the decade. Coming in at number 10 is Kubrat Pulev, 32-2 on the career, 17-1 during the decade. And you can see over there to the right some of his impressive wins: Huey Fury, Tony Thompson, Derek Chisora. Loss to Wladimir Klitschko. Here he is against Chisora, a tough customer from Great Britain, fought just about everybody in the decade. I think this was probably his toughest fight. And I believe he's going to win the decision in this fight. You can see he's got a nice jab. He's a big, strong fella from Bulgaria. He comes in at number 10. At number 9 is Luis Ortiz from Cuba. 34-3, 6'4", 241, 26-2 during the decade. And his two losses were to Deontay Wilder. Bryant Jennings and Tony Thompson were his big victories. And here he is against Thompson. If you'll remember, Thompson fought Wladimir, I believe, twice for the title. And Luis Ortiz is going to eliminate him. I think Thompson needs to get him some different trunks. Those trunks are a little long. I don't believe I've ever seen a fighter fight with that long of trunks. And he gets knocked out by Luis Ortiz. Here's Ortiz against Jennings. If you'll remember, Jennings fought Wladimir Klitschko in Madison Square Garden, another fight that I was at. Great fight. He went the distance against Wladimir Klitschko, does not go the distance against Ortiz. And at this time, he had an impressive record. Ortiz had a number of amateur fights in Cuba when he came up. And he was in his late 30s during that period. At number 8 is Alexander Povetkin. Povetkin had some nice wins against Shigev. He lost against Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua, two of the top fighters of the decade. 6'2", 255. He was 14-2 during the decade. He was from Russia. He was a medalist in the Olympics. Came into the heavyweight division with a lot of fanfare. Here he is in a tough match against Shigev. These guys went toe-to-toe. If you want to see a good fight, this is really one. Both of them had a real similar style. Povetkin's going to get the decision. Here's one of the up-and-coming fighters named Perez. I believe he was from Puerto Rico or Cuba. Had a real impressive record, and Povetkin is going to, this is the first round action. As you can see, Povetkin is going to end the fight. He had a lot of power. Really a strong heavyweight. And that fight is history. Here he is, got his man on the ropes here. I believe this is Hasim Rahman. And you can see Povetkin's got a lot of power. At number 7 is Dillian Whyte. Now, these next three fighters, you can mix up the order pretty much, but Dillian Whyte had a win over Joseph Parker, Derek Chisora. He lost to Anthony Joshua, had a 27-1 record during the decade. Very impressive. It's a tough customer. Could have been ranked as high as number 5 in this decade. We're going to look at some footage of him. This is against Lucas. I believe Lucas had a very impressive record at the time. Dillian Whyte ends it. This is a very close fight. Could have went either way. It's Dillian Whyte against Joseph Parker. Dillian Whyte is going to get a close decision. Parker is in this top 10. I believe he is one spot ahead of Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte had a lot of power. Took a punch really well. Parker's trying to box and stay away from him. Once again, another really good fight. Very close. Here is Anthony Joshua against Dillian Whyte, and Joshua is wearing Whyte out. Look at the shot he just took. In one punch, Dillian Whyte turns his fight around. Now, Whyte is going to lose the decision, but notice his aggressive style. Joshua's hurt bad. I believe that was the second round. At number 6 comes Joseph Parker of New Zealand. Lost twice during the decade to Anthony Joshua in a very close decision and to Dillian Whyte in a very close decision. Actually could have been undefeated. Here's a close decision that he actually won against Andy Ruiz. Great fight. Very close. Joseph Parker was a very good boxer. Here he is in a close decision against Joshua that he lost. I believe this is a 12-round decision. Parker more than held his own against Joshua at this time. Joshua was undefeated coming into this fight and walked out of the ring with several belts. I don't think there's any question Joseph Parker should be ranked this high in the decade. He fought just about everybody. At number 5 is Andy Ruiz. 35-2-1, 6'2", 268, 74-inch reach. And during the decade, he was 26-2. He lost to Joseph Parker in a close decision. And then he lost the rematch against Anthony Joshua. And here he is wailing on Joseph Parker. The thing you need to remember about Andy Ruiz, I believe he's from California, is he had the fastest hands in the division. And he had over 300 amateur fights. He was a very, very smart, tough fighter. His looks were very deceiving. And here he is against Anthony Joshua in the upset of the decade. Anthony Joshua puts him down. I want you to watch Andy Ruiz walk through these punches. This is Anthony Joshua, Olympic gold medalist, wailing on him. Ruiz just walks through the punches and nails him. I was at this fight as well. Great upset. If you remember, Andy Ruiz was a replacement fighter for Jarrell Miller, who tested positive for drugs. And you can see you don't want to exchange punches with Andy. His hands are too fast. He takes a really good punch. And this is Joshua's first career loss. And as I said, one of the biggest upsets of the decade. Joshua was a heavy favorite in this fight. And in this fight, this was the first time Andy had ever been on the canvas. Joshua put him down. At number 4, Wladimir Klitschko, 64-5, 9-2 during the decade. Lost 2 fights to Joshua and Fury. Beat Povetkin and Samuel Peter. Went 11 years and didn't lose a fight. 22 straight title defenses. The Ukrainian was a legend during the decade, but he comes in at number 4. Here he is against Samuel Peter from Nigeria. Samuel Peter put Klitschko down twice in their first fight, but lost the decision. In their rematch, Klitschko just goes ahead and knocks Samuel Peter out. This is the Povetkin fight. Pulev fight. And Klitschko is going to beat this undefeated fighter at the time, Pulev, in Bulgaria. And this just shows you some of the power of Wladimir. I mean, he's knocking him down with just a short left hook. Klitschko was a master boxer later in his career. Early in his career, he changed his style. Manuel Stewart was responsible for that. Here he is in his last heavyweight fight. I believe he was 40 at this time. A lot of people felt like he was past his prime, but he was still a pretty solid fighter. And there he puts down Anthony Joshua. Just a great fight. One of the best fights of the decade. Joshua's going to show his mettle. personally one of my favorite fighters of all time, Anthony Joshua, and he comes in at number 3, 6'6", 242, 82-inch reach, 23-1. His only loss was to Andy Ruiz during the decade, and he came back and got revenge in that fight. And here he is in the 11th round against Wladimir Klitschko, where he gets off the canvas in the 5th round and puts Wladimir down and ends his career. You can see Joshua's a great offensive fighter. Defensively, he left a little bit to be desired. Olympic gold medalist. Matter of fact, 2 Olympic gold medalists going at it here. Joshua's poised, comes in. He fought more contenders during the decade than any other fighter. Anthony Joshua avoided no one. If you wanted to fight, he would fight you. Had a very, very impressive record also during the decade. And as I said, this is going to end Wladimir Klitschko's career. Referee's going to step in here, stopping Klitschko from getting any more punishment. Anthony Joshua comes in at number 3. At number 2, Deontay Wilder, 28-0-1 during the decade, 6'6", 212. You see his victories over there. Stavern, Chris Arreola, Luis Ortiz. Very impressive record. Hardest hitter in the division. Little question about it. Here he is against Ortiz. Ortiz is ahead on points in this fight. Matter of fact, both times they fought, he was ahead on points, which was not unusual of a Deontay Wilder fight because he was waiting to take you out. Won almost every fight by knockout. And Deontay was one of the great finishers in the history. Okay, the last one here, we're going to look at the number 1 fighter of the decade, and that's Tyson Fury. He was 16-0-1, 34-2, 6'9", 247 when he beat Klitschko, and there's his wins over there. He did not fight a lot of top heavyweights, but he beat Klitschko, and here he is right here. Remember, Klitschko had went 11 years and not lost a fight, 22 straight title defenses. Tyson Fury was a big underdog in this fight, talked a lot of trash coming into the fight on how he was going to beat the old man, outbox him, and he sure did. The fight wasn't close. Notice this fight took place, I believe, in L.A. Please comment on who you think were the top fighters of the decade, and like, comment, and share, and please subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching.